I'm Cindy Bokser, and you are listening to the Fiber Artist Podcast, where we chat with artists, makers, and creatives who work with fiber, get to know their stories, how they came upon their fiber practice, and more about the person behind the work. Today I chat with fiber artist Vânia Oliveira, all the way from Portugal. Vânia is the boss and the hands behind Hands Textiles studio. It's hard to describe Vânia's work because her creativity with weaving and macrame are not bound by a particular style, and you never know what she's going to come up with next, which I think is the coolest part about her work. You can find Vânia on Instagram at Hands Textiles Studio and online at twohandstudio.textile.com. We ended up chatting for a really long time, so this episode runs pretty long. Anywho, hope you enjoy the conversation. Hi, Vânia. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. I'm so excited to get a chance to finally talk to you because I know I have been following your work on Instagram for quite a while, but we've never actually really connected. So I thought this was a really cool opportunity to find out more about you and about your background and your journey. So I'm really excited.
I will tell you all about it. But as I said before, I'm a bit shy, so let's see how this goes. First time ever.
Yeah. Okay. So this will be practice because I'm sure after this, so many more people are going to want to chat with you. So.
I'll probably never forget the first time.
Yeah.
So it's good.
So fun. Yeah, don't be nervous. I mean, we're just gonna try to have a good conversation. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I like to talk, so it's good.
Good. All right. So let's just start with very basic stuff. Like, where are you from? Where are you right now? What's your living situation? Do you have kids, etc.?
So I'm from Lisbon, Portugal, born and raised. I study costume and stage design. And in 2005, I decided, because I was not having that many jobs and the situation here in Portugal was not so easy for creative people, so I decided to go a couple of months to Germany, where I had some friends, and I stayed there 11 years. So wow. It became like a big adventure. And 2 years ago, me and my husband, because in the meantime I got married and I got two kids, two girls, and we decided that we didn't want to live in the city anymore. So we decided to move to the countryside of Portugal, we are not so far away from Lisbon. It's a place called Sintra that many people know that it's very touristical, but we live more to the beach side. So we live between the mountain and between the beach. So it's really nice. It's like I feel like an immigrant again in my own country.
Yeah.
Because I just came here to visit from time to time, and now we lived here, and I really enjoy it. It's a new life, but it's a good one. Yeah.
That's so nice. We moved recently from the city to the countryside, and it's just been so nice to be able to see nature every day and just breathe better. It's been so nice.
How long are you there? Not long, right?
We moved in November. Well, on Halloween actually last year. So about that's something like 8 months or so.
Yes.
Yeah.
But how does it feel when you go back to the city? Because I go there often, I get really confused. My tempo, it changed completely. So I give a lot of class in the center of Lisbon and right in the area that became very touristical, and I get so overwhelmed.
I do too.
And I think it's amazing how your body just gets used to another thing so quickly. And I get really confused, and I thought, man, I'm a child of the city,
Yeah.
And suddenly it's it's all gone, and I'm very slowly. I also talk much slower, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's a bit strange.
It's
a new me.
It's a weird feeling to go back. I get very anxious as well, and I'll drive in to give workshops, in Brooklyn or Manhattan, and when I go, I think, I'm so glad I don't have to stay here. I'm going to be so excited to go back home is what I'm always thinking.
With me, it's always I really want to go to that shop and that shop. But as soon as the workshop is over, I just want to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't, it's takes an hour to just move across the city. And I think, man, I have really a luxurious life now.
Yeah.
Because, it takes me 5 minutes to take my kids to the kindergarten.
Same.
And, So it's going to get so much better. In a year or two, you're going to say, I'm so grateful. I'm sure you are already, but it's really nice. So because you can go to the city whenever you want, but you just can have the best of it when you're out. So it's great. And for the children, at least for my children, I can say that it's amazing for them. I don't know if they really realize it, but
how old are your children?
Nice. 6 and 3.
Oh, okay. So they're close. Mine are 6 and 4.
Yes, exactly. I thought so. Mine are like 2.5 between each other. So
Yeah.
like when we moved here, they were super tiny. So I think they don't really realize it. They ask very strange questions like why do people live in such a tall buildings and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, they're going to run to the city when they become teenagers.
They're going to want to go. Yep, of course. They'll do the
Yes,
same thing we did. Like you have to
exactly.
live in the city for a while and then you go back to like what feels really right.
Exactly. But it's really nice. And also to work in what I work, it's also very good because I get a bit of how do I say this? Like not solitude, but it's more, I don't have so much people around, and so it's really nice. It's really
Right.
nice.
Yeah. No, not as much sensory overload as before. So you can actually
And
really
not so much
focus.
things that you should do or could do because there's nothing to do or there's
Exactly.
little to do. So you don't go like, oh, I could go to that shop. No, I could go. Either you order it online or secondhand over online, also eBay and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then it's really nice. So you just keep your free time to just do nice things instead
Yeah.
of just overwhelming yourself. Yeah.
That's so funny. I never thought of it that way, but I do have a lot less FOMO. Like I don't fear missing out of anything because you're right. There isn't that much to do around here. So it's like you
No,
just
and I don't know.
enjoy your surroundings.
I don't know how it is for you because you stayed in the same country, but because I moved also, many of my friends that I used to have, we kind of, it's not like we don't are not still friends, but it is when you go on vacation and you have a little bit of time to be with each other, it's one thing, but when you actually move, the time is not the same, and you have kids, and you're always busy with what I don't know, but you are always busy.
Yeah.
And it's a feeling also of being in really a new country. So it's very extreme, but also we have a much more natural life. You're more connected
Right.
with agriculture and farms that are around here and things like that. So it's very nice, but it's still sometimes I look back, and I'm sure you already feel a little bit like that, or you'll feel like that in a couple of years, that you look back and you think, oh my God, I'm such a different person,
Yeah.
It's really weird, but it's nice. It's
Completely.
really cool. I really love it.
Yeah, no,
Right.
same here, same here.
Is it very different from were you also a country child,
Um,
or you
well,
were?
I grew up in a suburb, so I'm actually from Michigan, and I grew up in a sort of small suburb outside of Flint, and so it was just it was very quaint and safe and wonderful, and I could just ride my bike around my neighborhood, and my mom would just say like, "Come back before it's dark," and
So
it
nice.
was also the
And you
80s, and so it was just everything felt safer, I guess, back then. But
But the kids also will enjoy that, also that they have that possibility. But for you, it's also like you came, because I was really living in the middle of the city, and I missed out on all those things of riding the bike in the city and in the street. So I
right,
think it's really an advantage for your development as a
it
human being to
is
have all those memories, and you will have them
definitely.
also for your children. Yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up in Lisbon? Like
Yes, I grew up in Lisbon.
okay.
And I actually, it was when I was a child. I was always very creative. I was like one of those kids. I actually have some of those myself now. My kids are exactly the same. That you go to the restaurant and you paint the whole table with
Yeah.
when you have this paper cloths and stuff like that. And I always wanted to be a fashion designer. I don't know why. It was not very common in Portugal to be, but I don't know. I always was drawing these little dolls with clothes and stuff like that. And when I became a teenager, I thought this was really stupid, because how do you say, a lot of money spent in haute couture and stuff like
Oh,
that.
right.
But still, I decided, by coincidence, I went to a school that it's a high school for arts, which
Mm-hmm.
is not very common in Portugal. There are like two of them. And my father wanted me to be an architect, and I almost fell for it. But I had the feeling of the textiles because I entered the room where all the looms were, and I just fell in
Wow.
love. So I did 1 year like normal school, but then I decided to move to the technical, because they had like, how do I say, sorry, sometimes even though I speak English at home, my English sometimes goes away. We had not furniture, but like interior, it's called equipment in Portugal. It's
Uh-huh.
like when you design furniture, but really designer, and you have jewelry and you have like ceramics. And so I went to textile, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very intense. It was like was 3 years where you had like everyday school. There was just
Mm-hmm.
like one morning was free, and I was like 19 hours on a loom a week.
Wow.
Yes, it was really like really a lot of hours, and you could learn printing, fabric printing,
Mm-hmm.
and low wrap loom and high wrap warp loom.
Okay,
The ones
wow.
that
The
you
floor
work.
looms.
Yeah, floor loom is how you call it
Yeah.
in English, sorry. Floor looms, and then the ones that we actually use the most, the ones that Persians also use, the high warp looms that
Mm-hmm.
now I just use frame looms. But so it was always a passion, but I really had a problem because I was too late for the boom of the 80s and the 60s and the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
and I was too advanced for what just
What's happening
happened a
now?
couple of
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah. So everybody was like, what are you going to do with that? But I was dreaming about all these sculptures and all this, fibers. Why? I have no clue, but it was just an appealing.
Yeah.
And when I got my first kid when I were in 2012, sorry, and already I was not really in the mood of being a costume designer anymore because
Mm-hmm.
it's very demanding. You have to be a lot outside the house, and you have the rehearsals all the time, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
travel a lot, and you go after the director.
Did
And
you work in costuming for a while then?
yes,
After
sorry,
after
yes.
school?
When I went to Germany, when I was in Portugal, I did work a bit,
Okay.
but I was very young. We finished very young here, even though we study a long time. And then when I went to Germany, I also worked for a long time.
Okay.
I work all the time. Just when I got my kid, I thought, you know, there was like,
Yeah, you have to balance
either,
that life.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like either I have to be all the time out, because it's like when you are involved in a theater play, it's like you have to be all the time around the actors and around the director, and you have the rehearsals in the morning and in the evening, and then when you finish the rehearsal, you have to go to the cafe or to the pub and discuss about, oh my God, should I go? This is all horrible, and
Right,
people are
right.
constantly in struggles, and I had the need of to be at home and to find something to do that it was much more to the inside. And I think this actually happens. It's not a coincidence that many people start this kind of jobs when they are nesting,
Yes.
when they're
Yeah.
having their kids, and because they have the urge to do things and they want to stay at home. So I asked my husband to make me a loom, and I just started again, and it was this feeling to go back to these teenage years, and
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy. I'm always crazy about the smell of fibers and everything. And it's strange because if somebody asked me which are the medium that you like the most, I would probably say ceramics because I always wanted to learn, but I don't know why I have this thing for fibers,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't rationalize much things, but it is like that. It's like a calling, you can say it. And I think the years that I worked in the school, in high school, were so happy that every time I'm close to a loom and I smell it and I want to do it, I just get all,
You
all
get
like,
excited, right?
excited, yes. Even though I have no idea what I'm going to do or how do I get anywhere, I just do. And I have really an urge of creating things. And yeah, that's it.
That's so great. So when you were working in costume design, did that feel fulfilling to you? Like
No,
I
not
understand that you when you got pregnant and you started nesting, that's when you really went right back into into your fiber art
doing things.
practice.
Yes, yeah.
But before that, did you feel like an urge to leave costume design at the
Yeah,
time?
all the
Oh,
time,
you
all
did.
the
So you
time
weren't really happy
because
with that.
no, I was happy. I really like this. It's a very like how do you say? It's a very it's a life with a lot of things happening, and you have a play every 2 months. And I was an assistant also for a long time in a huge theater in Germany, in the south of Germany. So it's like you meet a lot of people, and it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
But because I was working in this huge theater, we had like atelier. How do you say? Not ateliers. The places where people work, not workshops. Workshops, yes,
Uh-huh.
like workshops for I don't know, for just we had ballet, opera, theater. I worked basically in a theater, but the tutus for the ballerinas were full of stones, and there was just
Yeah.
a atelier, a workshop just to do that. And so basically, I was just telling people to do things. I was just either creating when I was a
Mm-hmm.
costume designer myself, or I was telling people how to do things and researching
Right.
fabrics. And but I missed always this, just the gut thing, just going and doing something
Yeah.
with your hands, and just going. I'm not a person who how do you say, to make projects before, or make a sketch or something like that. So I really needed this of just touching materials and let's see what they tell you to, where they tell you to go. So I was always like in the head, when you are doing costumes, you're always in the head. You're always like, okay, dramaturgy, how is it to go, the story of the characters, what they want to say. But I really needed this doing things, and I think many people miss that in their jobs, that they can provide an idea, but because we can spend now hours talking here, what's the difference between an artisan and an artist,
Right.
And it's the forever discussion. But it's like I miss the artisan part of the process of things, and I could also have sound. But sound is more of how do I say, more of a head thing. You have to, put all the pieces together. And with fiber art, for me at least, it's just go with the flow thing.
Right. There's a total freedom to it.
Exactly, and that was always what I missed. And of course, when you are doing everything by yourself is one thing, and when you have a team and you are part of something, because you put costumes, but there's somebody who's directing your costumes, and your costumes have to tell the story. So it's I miss it sometimes, but you know how it is. When you have small kids, you think, okay, now it's the time to do this. Yes. Then after, maybe we do something else.
Right. Yeah. And this is the thing with, with Two Hands Textiles, is that it's all yours. And so from start to finish, a piece can be completely yours and your entire idea. So you're not beholden to anybody else with it,
No, and I think it would have been a problem for me also to have assistants and stuff like that. Maybe she will just have a super boring job of doing the bureaucratical part of it that I hate. Even the social media, I like it, but it's so boring, but it's such a huge part of the work,
Yeah.
And you're like, what should I put today? What should I, And, but I really like that somebody talks to me. For instance, when I have a commission, it's somebody, like the last one I did, was like somebody wanted to offer a present to somebody else and told me the colors and the idea and the meaning behind it. And this is so beautiful that you started trimming, warping the loom or putting the knots or whatever, and then it's, till the packaging. You've done it all. It's all you there, and it's so beautiful. It's going somewhere else, to somebody else, And this is very special. I think when you can connect with people with something that you do with your hands, I think it's because it's something that it comes really, from the inside.
Right.
It's not like this design that that you sell the concept, or it's not like the artisan where you just do what somebody did 20 million times before you, but you just master at it. It's something else in the middle, and I think I'm very happy doing this. It's very special, I think, and I think everybody who does it feels the same way. It's like it's just the hands. That's why I called my label like that, because it's just the hands.
Yeah, your two hands.
Exactly.
No, definitely. So tell me a little bit about your creative process. What I've noticed about your work is that, you use color so widely and beautifully, and you put palettes together so well. Tell me a little bit about how you start to work on a piece. Do you sort of sketch it out first at all, or do you just kind of sit at the loom and do what feels right?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that I have no process at all. I don't know how it is with, you're also a mom, but it's like you just work whenever you can. So, and that's the huge difference between being not a mother and being a mother, is that when you are creative, you have an idea and you just say to your partner or whatever is around you, I'm going there, don't bother me, I'm doing something now, and you can get as obsessive as you want about it. With kids, it's like you have a ping pong ball in your head that it's, bing, bing, bing. And you think, okay, I hope the ball does not go away and the idea does not go away. Or this, for me, it's more than an idea, it's more of an urge to do something that it comes up and you say, now I want to do something. I don't know what it's going to be. And it's like there is no working day planned, or no, it's nothing really scheduled. But about the colors, well, I don't know. I have a very interesting way of working, because when I weave with a lot of color. But when I do macrame, I'm very minimalistic in the colors. So I normally joke and say that macrame is my detox. So I have to have all these colors when I weave, and then when I do macrame, it's completely, I just like one color and it doesn't really change. But I do have an obsession about buying secondhand fibers.
Mm-hmm.
I hunt a lot, so I have a wall of color. Like I don't know how I manage, but I bought a lot and I buy very cheap, and I try to be aware about where the materials come from, and that inspires me a lot. That I'm doing the interview here on this is my room because my atelier is a bit dark and we are about to move, but I have a wall that it's full of wool,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen
and
your studio shots or like your shelf shots.
yeah, and this is really
so
crazy,
beautiful.
but it really helps me to I enter and I go like a bit like a little child in a candy shop, like, well, maybe I do this, maybe I do that, but I have no idea. I really think colors are. I think when you do a piece, you should communicate some vibration. Many people say that my pieces look like animals. I heard that quite a couple of times. So I don't know. I just like to be as fearless as possible and not being really afraid of putting colors. And I think many people like to go more on the minimal side of it because also they are restrained or they want to do something more calmer. For me, it's just like I just go all in.
Yeah.
So I really don't have
like a set process.
An idea. No, I don't. It's just like I'm a very, how do you say in English, a gutsy person, like a person that works more with the gut feeling than the head. So
right, you just go by instinct, I guess.
Exactly, instinct. That's it.
I have to ask you to hold on once. Sorry if I look distracted.
Doesn't matter. I went on. I was like,
I know.
Nothing's happening.
Sorry, you're good. I think my battery, my computer battery, I realize it's not plugged in. So 1 second, I just have to find the cord.
Take your time.
Okay, hold on 1 second. This is actually my husband's computer, so I need to go find the power cord. 1 second.
Doesn't matter. Take your time, really. No hurries for me, at least.
So sorry, Vânia.
Doesn't matter. I totally get you. Don't worry.
Okay.
Good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so sorry about that.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so yes, I did notice that you do a lot of you do both weaving and macrame. So when did you pick up the macrame part of it? Did you learn that in school at all?
No, I'm weaving is a thing that I really learn in school. Everything else that I do, it's because I'm simply just obsessed, and I have to. When I find something that I want to try, I try to learn it. I watch tutorials, or I have a problem with old books. I have like a huge collection of everything that is fiber arts. But it doesn't have to be like really special books, just like this super simple books from the 70s where there's like 20, how to do a bag or how to do a vest or how to do whatever, or lamps or howls or whatever, or pillows. I was always very withdrawn to that. And so I just look for things, and I just like to explore. I don't need to know much about it, but I always like to explore. And I think my only problem is that I explore too much because I don't really have a style. And nowadays everybody has to have a style or kind of a, isn't it?
I don't know. I think in some ways it's good to do that because then you can brand yourself in a certain way with a certain audience. But I also think that, you also when you give yourself the freedom to experiment, then you come upon all these discoveries about your work and yourself and your techniques and your aesthetic. And I think that that's incredibly important as part of your journey.
But it's something that I struggle a bit with, because I always think that if I could be more successful in my sales or whatever, if I would have that style that is known, in the first, blink of an eye, you say, okay, that's her work. But I think exploring and trying new things is such an important part of also my personal development, because I get so bored even if I have to copy works, I get a bit like...
Exactly.
And so for me, like making collections and things like that, it's not that I find it wrong. It's just that for me, it does not work.
Right.
That always, I do it, and many times I do repetitions, but I'm always like, oh my God, it's not going to be exactly the same.
There's no way it can be exactly the same ever.
Yeah.
Like it's not possible to make a true copy,
Yes. But on the other hand, every time I try something new, it's always a bit difficult to let go of the piece, my husband always jokes with me, says, but you wanted to sell it. Yes, but okay, I guess I have to let it go. But look at it, will be so good in our house. No, but I let it go. So it always like this week after you finish something, I don't know if it happens with you, but with me it's always like this, oh my baby.
Yeah, of course, because you spend so many hours putting yourself into it. So
yeah, it's really crazy. If people only knew.
I know.
Many people don't have no idea. No, I sometimes joke with my kid. I say, look, the oldest one, I said, do you see how many knots are there? One after the other. Oh, me. And look how many. She was like, yeah, Mommy, it's really a lot of knots.
Yeah.
And I think, yes. So it's really crazy.
Do your kids, I guess they're still a little young, but does your older one sort of try to also like emulate?
All things, sometimes I also bring her, if it's in Lisbon, not, but sometimes I do workshops here around, and she always comes, and she already tries to do some macrame, and
that's amazing. You bring her? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I could never bring my kids. They would be a total nightmare.
But listen, you have 2 boys, right?
Yeah.
But there is this looms that everybody uses now with the thing in the middle, this piece that moves.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a huge success in boys. Boys are way better than the girls in that age. How old are yours?
4 and 6.
Exactly. But the 6, he can do it. Because it's something that I remember I teach already a couple of kids, because I think this is vital, and I even volunteer in the kindergarten of my kids, and sometimes I go there. And it's really like that. The boys are like, oh, it's so boring. I don't want to do it. And the moment they start, because it's like a machine, they get all into it.
Oh, interesting.
And in Germany, weaving was used as a preschool. It's used as a preschool thing. Oh. Actually, I did bought some of them some years ago when I was still living there, because all the kids have that. All the kids have one loom like that. Actually, that's like, it worked like a floor loom, but nowadays people use it differently. But it's supposed to make like a warp that it's really long.
Yeah.
And the kids it helps the kids to concentrate, and it helps the kids to be quiet and calm down. So the teachers, when they want them to, just a bit more, if they are really into a lot of stuff, if you put them weaving, you try it with your kid and then let me know, because you will see that he will be completely calm. Yes. 2 weeks ago, I did one in a farm in Cascais, here next to the beach area. And the kids, the parents always want to buy them one after. They say, okay, where do I buy this for my kid? And they are like, they see it grow. For children, it's so important that they get the sense of accomplishment, and it doesn't take that long. So it's very important in this age that they do things with their hands, that they can see, look, I did this.
And it's good for their motor skills too.
Exactly, that too. And it's, in my kids' school, I was like, oh my God, I have to come more times, because they had no idea how to move things. But after a while, they were all so good at it, and they were so happy. So try it with your kid.
Yeah, definitely. Now I totally feel motivated to do it. At least try. I mean, that's the thing, is like, sometimes they'll be like, let me help. And like, of course, like if you're working on your own piece, like for me, I'm like, no. Like, then I'm going to have to undo some of it. But I guess if I just give it them.
Braids.
Yeah.
I'm nodding, and then she goes, look, I can do, Mommy, when they both start making braids. And I said, no, this is to sell. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Or with the big loom, they're like with a piece of wool on the other side. When I do big pieces there, and then I have to go with a scissor and cut it off. Yeah. Sometimes I let them, but if people only knew that you create with 2 kids on each side. talking to you. It's really crazy.
Yeah. I do hope that it does give them that early sense of just playing with stuff, that it'll seep in, that when they're older they might want to pick it up, on their own. Just having memories, just having these memories of having it around.
I always have this different feeling, because on one hand I think that, on the other hand I think that we always want to do different than our parents. So I have to be careful with the amount of things that I bring, that they're not overwhelmed, or they are not thinking that they have to do it as good as me.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. But a funny thing happened that a while ago, my oldest kid thought that I was not working at all. She was like, "Oh, mommy, you don't work at all," because she comes home or I pick her up and I'm not doing anything. Just because the last years it increased that I'm working at night or in the afternoon, or I work with them around me. But for a long time, she thought that I was doing anything. And I thought, amazing. You are there for your children. They have no perspective.
They don't. They have no idea.
Yes, I said, but my mother was going to work every day. I was in school till I don't know how many hours, and you're just, now I got it. Now she gets it, and it's nice. It's nice. Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, it's so funny, kids. So when
the struggle,
yeah, totally,
a good one, but it's a struggle with working and being a mom at the same time.
Yes, it is. So with Hands Textile Studio is now you're basically your full-time thing, right? Do you do other things for work right now?
No, I decided that it started really because I was a full-time mom, because in Germany you get like 1 year maternity leave. So because they are not so apart from each other, it was one after the other basically. And it developed, and I decided it's not that I just started with Two Hands. I did much stuff before. I've been knitting for many years, and I start with necklaces, and then with this, and then with that, and then I did markets, and now I'm in the point where I decided to believe in myself, and actually financially this was possible. So I was like a little squirrel in the time that I was at home. I was collecting wools and manuals and many things that I really didn't know how. I'm very lucky that I have a very supportive husband, which also works from home. So every time I say, "Can I buy this?" he says, "Of course." It's not that he has to allow me, but it's like I feel a bit bad sometimes, And he always told me, "No, just buy whatever you want. Don't worry about it. I don't care. You should be happy." So it's funny because suddenly I have everything I need around me, and it brought me here. But it was not like I just started Two Hands and I make something, and it's I work like hell. I work every day, all the time. But I decided to believe a bit more in myself and to say, okay, this is what I am, and starting to say, but it took many years to be able to say this, but to say, okay, now I'm a fiber artist, or whatever that means, but this is what I do. I'm teaching also, which is great, as you know, it also helps a lot. But it's just allow myself to believe in that, and to say, okay, I can do this. And it's funny because once you start believing it and you start working and you start relaxing about it, the things just happen with me. It's always very slowly but steady. It's not like I just get viral and everybody knows about me. It's just it has been always very slowly. But I'm very thankful for that, because it made me strong. And but there are days where I think, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm crazy. I will not be able to support my family with this. Other days I think, wow, so great. Look, I'm in this magazine, or or somebody's interested in my work on the other side of the world, And I also did a manual. I'm selling a lot of manuals, and I think, man, how great is this? So, but it has been growing. So that's all I wanted to say, for people not to know that just like you sit down and you say, I'm going to make a label and sell things. It's still it's a very slow and growing process.
Right. But you just have to work really, really hard at it.
You have to stick to it, which is many, many times difficult, because could be a month that nothing special happens. And then in 3 days, it's like suddenly everybody wants to know who you are.
Yeah.
So, and then again, another week where nothing happened. And then another week where you have like 2 orders for a week. And you're like, oh my God, I have to pick up my kids from school. And my husband also has a deadline. He's a 3D graphic, also so, and it's like when there is deadlines for both of us, it's crazy,
Totally.
So we have to, so it's really like something that is always going up and down. So you might as well try to believe in yourself as much as you can, even if, fake it till you make it. Even if it's a bit difficult sometimes, just move on.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. So the reality of it, right, is that you made your first frame loom weaving around 2012,
No,
2013.
2014.
Oh, 14. Okay. So,
It's
I mean,
not so long.
so that's 4 years ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, it does. It takes a long time, and it takes just realistically, I mean, for people who are starting out, if I think we're so into having immediate gratification and thinking that things have
Yes,
to happen
yes.
quickly, otherwise they're failing. But that's not true at all. It's just that you have to just keep going,
Yeah,
keep
it
putting yourself
takes,
out there.
yes, and you have to just challenge yourself. You cannot be successful just because you start doing some macrame or just because you're starting to do some weaving, because you have to learn a lot. You have to create your own style, see where you want to go, and stop not copying, but being so influenced by other people and starting to, because we are all influenced. This could be another discussion for a whole day. Where does inspiration start and copy begins, and I'm sure I also got inspired by many people, and I also took a lot of ideas from other people, but that I had to transform,
Of
ideas in the
course.
sense of, okay, this is a great idea, how can I transport this into something of my own? I want to, because it will be something, if you let it go, it will be something, again, transforming something else, because we didn't invent anything. Weaving is done thousands of years,
exactly.
and macrame comes from the boats and from the Arabs, and there's so many stories. There's nothing. It's just the way you put yourself out there. That when you put yourself out there, you have to be 100% honest with what you do, because sooner or later, either you're going to give up, or you're not going to sell simply because it's not in you, it's somebody else. Until you find yourself in this, it's okay to start with other people's inspiration, but you have to at one point be brave enough to say, okay, this was my lab now, and now I have to spread my wings. And I think it's very, very scary to do that, to just say, I'm not doing what everybody else wants me to do. I'm just doing what I feel like doing, even though I think I'm a weirdo and nobody else is doing this. But whatever, sooner or later, and it either you will make it or you will break it. But I think that's the only way to do it. And this takes a lot of. The other day, somebody wrote me, "How do you get these insane skills? I want to know." And I answer her with a lot of hours of work.
Yeah.
I work every day, many hours. I do undo, I do difficult things. I like the challenge of doing big pieces. Of course, I could also do very quickly stuff and much easier, but that's who I am, and I'm happy like that. So, of course, when it comes out, people think, wow, she does a million things a day. But no, I can work on a piece for a whole month and do nothing else.
Yeah.
So, and this is a lot of, and I'm happy that my story brought me to a place that I'm strong enough to say, okay, maybe this is silly, but I want to do this, and I'm going to do this way. And it's not happening the next days that you say, oh, now it's going to, everybody's going to, there is so many people around that you see and you think they have no skills and they have so much success, and other people who are insanely gifted and nobody knows about them,
right.
So I guess you just have to do your own thing and not bother about, but it is always the longest the process is, the better it's going to be in the end, because in the end you're going to be much more not entitled, but you'll be aware of what you're saying and what you're doing, and you'll be stronger. But it takes years, like from 2012, before 2012, it's when I got pregnant, and I decided to more this handmade world, more two hands work. Until 2014, then I decided to start to weave. And only 2 years ago, when I arrived to Portugal and I actually land on Instagram, it was just 2 years ago that I start, and also with me teaching in Portugal, I asked some people if they were interested. I guess it was the right time. That, it's 4 years.
Yeah.
And before there was another 2 years, so it's 6 years, 7 years in total that I was looking for a brand for what I wanted to do and you just have to keep on doing it. And if it's really quickly, it most definitely is going to end also very quickly. So you have just to stay there. And with so many of us out there, and I think here in Portugal, there's not so much going on. There's just a few of us. But I guess where you are, there's so many crazy, talented people everywhere, and the movement is so much bigger, because here it's more of a floor loom thing, So I cannot imagine how you say, okay, I stay and I do, and I will manage this. Also when you have so much stuff to do all the time with kids.
It's so interesting because I feel like it's almost even with, we have these borders, right? You're in Portugal and I'm in America and the Australians are in Australia, but it's still like just such a global kind of marketplace now that the internet and Instagram and Google Images and all these things makes all of this really accessible to everybody to learn about it and to see it and to be influenced by it.
And to communicate, and also
exactly.
to, what I found it's very interesting is that it becomes more of a community. And I do found myself when I started Instagram to look for people who do the same that I do, and to look for, okay, they go through the same struggle, they are having the same problems, they have the same ideas. And we say in Portugal, it's a stick with two pointy sides, because it's like on one hand, it's really nice. On the other hand, it's very discouraging sometimes, because it's like, on one hand, somebody asked me, I did a retreat last year with some people from a magazine from Finland, and there was there was just people from knitting, and one of them, I did a small workshop on weaving, and she asked me, so what can I do where I can see this thing to inspire myself? And I told her, don't see anything. Don't look at Instagram. Don't look anywhere. Just do your thing for 1 year as a hobby, and maybe in a year or 6 months, then start looking on. Don't get influenced, because also it's so sad sometimes to go all over the internet and see so many things from the same thing,
right?
And that's the other side, that it was always like this probably. But we didn't know.
We didn't know. No, yeah.
We didn't know, because I think that ideas, they just come and go, and they're everywhere. And of course, many people can have the same idea, but now suddenly it's like, oh my God! But I just had that idea, and now somebody did it already. Right. And sometimes you think, okay, maybe I'm not that creative at all.
Right.
Sorry, my husband is arriving, so that makes no noise with the car. That's the difference. But I'm totally thankful that there is so many people they are helping each other also, like you're a fiber artist and you are putting other fiber artists out there, and inviting me. I'm on the other side of the world,
right.
And that's amazing. And people who just have pages just to spread the word of, just, okay, here's a picture of this one, check that one. I think this is so nice and so amazingly beautiful, because it's more about community. And I think we miss that a lot, because we are earlier, and I see this with my teachers, it was like, that it's bad, I don't like him. And still today, I feel that the older people that I learn with, they think it's horrible that I do small workshops, or that I, and I say, come on, we cannot stay in the past all the time. We have to help each other, know. And this is so beautiful nowadays, that we all help each other much more than just being in competition, that people get together to do things. I found this really beautiful. But I guess that we're in America, in North America, it's much easier, because, you are way more, the movement is way stronger there than here.
Perhaps.
I'm sure you don't know many European fiber artists.
Just a handful that that of course I've seen on
but if
Instagram.
I tell you Americans, you could stay like 10 minutes saying, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great, because in Europe it's more the floor loom. And I guess in Australia and America the movement is way, way stronger, and it's way more diverse.
Well, it's so interesting when you're talking about community, because I think even only recently I realized how important it was to pass on the skills and the knowledge and all of this to like the next generation of fiber artists. Like I used to think just for a long time that it was that I just wanted to do my own thing and figure out my own art and keep it very sort of keep myself in a silo in a way, to just,
of course, because you're starting, you're insecure, and you're insecure,
exactly. And I don't want people like looking like, I don't want all their work to look like mine, and I had all of these thoughts. And it was even just developing the podcast, like I was thinking it is really important that we continue on the tradition, that we almost have a responsibility to continue on this tradition of working with fiber and having it be something that lasts centuries and centuries after us,
Yeah. And more than that, I think it's our job as artists to whatever that means, to say that there is space for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. It's not only about, for me, it's more important not only about to pass the techniques, because I think we're safe there, because there's so many people interested in, I see this from my workshops, 2 years, I still have many students, many people interested. But it's more about this, there is space for everything. And it's not because I teach that you're going to copy me and take my place, because there is space for everybody, because there are so many of us and there are so many different tastes, and some people are draw to some style, others for the other. It's not because the other person is successful, like I feel so great when I see a weaver or a macrame artist saying, look, somebody asked, do you have workshops? No, but my friend, the other one, she's giving work. I think I saw this with Natalie Miller and Marian Moody, that they were kind of, Natalie was not sponsoring, but she was like promoting, saying, I don't have work, or the other way around, I don't remember one of them. And I think this is the thing, is that it doesn't have to be, first of all, it's not like we are crafters, therefore we're not very important, because it's just a craft. And it's not a craft, it's an art, because a craft for me is something that you always have to do the same way. Like when you do a basket, that special basket from that special region, it's always the same thing. So we use the old techniques, but we do our own designs. We're not designers, so that's how I see myself. And I think before this kind of people, they were, like you said, they were all to themselves, and I'm in solitude and I don't want to see anybody. And sure, I also need some time for myself to create, but I don't mind also to go for a coffee with an artist that comes on vacation here, and we meet, and and we talk about, so how do you do this, how do you do that, and it's so nice. I think that's what we have to push. We have to, it's like you're running and suddenly you're crossing the finish line, and you, instead of crossing, you grab the other one, and we go together. And I think this thing about community, it's something that it's way stronger there, because you are much more. But it's very important to see that it's possible to be creative and be social and be together and live in community and make happenings and help from learn from each other. I always say to my students, this is my techniques, I share with you everything, but you have to give you a spin. It's going to be completely, you cannot do my work. It's impossible. And if you can do it, it's because it's not yet my work. Because if somebody can copy me that well, it's because my work is still, developing somewhere.
And not even just yours, but theirs. That means also that they don't yet have their own voice or perspective on how to do the work yet. But the more that they keep practicing and doing it, then that develops. That just sort of develops naturally.
I decided to I'm not that much, this doesn't happen to me, but when I see that something that resembles something, or that I always try to feel flattered about it. And I always think, it's because, and again, it's something that you have to struggle, because if you are still struggling to have your place and to earn your money with it, it's very strange when somebody comes and copies you and sells and makes more money than you are the same. It's very difficult, but I have to think, but that's because it's her journey or his journey. My journey is this journey, and it's something that you have to really to put it in a special place in your heart. Otherwise, it's going to eat you up. And it does sometimes, of course.
No, I love that though. I love that way of looking at it. That we are all on our own journeys, even though they might intersect in that one area where there's a piece that looks the same or whatever, that they're gonna converge at one point, but then they're gonna go somewhere else.
It's like when you have a band when you're a teenager, and then everybody says, oh, they sound like the Pixies, or they sound like this. Of course, because you're a teenager and you're making a band and you have your influences, but then many bands came from that, and then they grow to be somebody else. But of course, when you are already a grown-up person and you want to make money and you want to feed your family and say, okay, I live out of my art, it's very difficult where there's so many of us doing so many similar things. And that's why I think for me, my personal journey is to always try to do something new, and always try, and I'm obsessed by the challenge of doing something new. And that's why for me it's difficult to have my own style. because I would get bored if I do the same thing 4 times, 3 times. I would think, okay, I know it's done. It's like I'm constantly surprising myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way of at least staying, also very difficult because it's the difficult path,
You
of
have
course.
to constantly reinvent.
And be scared because if somebody asks you, okay, let's do something like this, and I go, okay, I can do that, and then I sit and I think, oh my God, what I just said, now I have to do this, and it has to be good. But when you finish it, it's just like you just go a little bit further. It's like you just go a little bit further, and it's just your own thing, and it's I think it's for me it's the only way to go.
Yeah.
I don't believe in right and wrong. I just believe that everybody has their own reality. So. Yeah. For me, this is what makes sense. But of course, every journey and every development and every way of working is valid. I'm nobody to judge anybody else's way of working.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that all of your work is quite different from the previous work, it's like that's what's so cool about it, though, is that you're constantly surprising us. And I think that's actually something incredible to aspire to for people who are.
Yeah, but on the other hand, in terms if I think of myself as a selling product,
right?
I guess I will always have different clients.
Yeah.
So it's like I cannot. We cannot. As I usually say, we cannot make everybody happy. So there will be people that will like. So they just like that kind of style, and once I don't do it anymore, they gravitate to something else. So that's why my social media is something that has been growing very slowly. And there is a time where I can recognize my followers sometimes and see what kind of people are. And then after 6 months, they change. Yeah. Because I don't have many people say, okay, I always like her work, because of course there's so many of me inside, to try new things. So I guess I think it's natural.
Yeah. So, well, okay, so let's talk about, so you weave and you do macrame. Are those two things for you, do they provide something different for you? Like as you're creating, and do you have to be in a certain mood?
Yes, totally. It's like I always, I just finished a piece. I was in vacation for a while in Germany with my family. So before that, I finished this huge commission, as I told you, for a friend to give to another friend. So it was a very big piece. And after that, I just wanted to I got some material from a friend, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do something with this. And I make this black piece in macrame. And this was just pure. I wanted to try for a long time to do more sculpture things because I wanted to get out of this
two-dimensional.
Thank you, two-dimensional macrame, and I just did it. I just started, and I think I needed something that was not, because weaving is it's very brainy when you're doing it. You have to either, if you don't do an organic thing, but if you are into making the rear knots in different colors and making a ombre or something like that, changing, it's something that you have to constantly, you're not really free, you're just, okay, knot has to have this color and that color, now the line, so you're constantly on. And when you do macrame, it's more of if you're not doing of course
like a perfectly symmetrical piece.
I tell everybody of my students that this is the most difficult thing. It's to make things to fit places or with drawings, because you have to be very aware of what you do. And if you do organic, it's much more easy for people to do it.
Yeah.
And so it does give me that part. Macrame is much more controlled, and you can only go from here to here, because you have the knots. And the weaving there's like a million different things that you can do and a million different techniques. So after a work that it's very intense with weaving, I think I always have the need. I don't know, I'm saying this for the first time because I think I go always to something that it's cleaner and more just knotting, And the last piece was really because I just wanted the freedom of just starting something. I had no idea where it was going. So
I love that piece, the anthracite.
Yes, I also like it very much. Still my babe, it's basically sold already. And I'm already like, oh my God, I have to give it. We had this conversation yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, but okay, I will do another one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so, and it's really like, but I want to look at it for another year. So
it's really cool though, because you can look at that piece, and then you're going to look later and look at what you make after that, and see how that transformed from that first piece to the next sculptural piece. I'm excited to see what you end up doing.
Well, me too, but you never know where it's going to lead. I've been thinking in the last year that I should be a bit more responsible in my own my own creative process, because sometimes it goes very well, and sometimes I have to undo a lot of things,
Hmm.
But well, till now it's what makes me happy, and I think I will stick to it. Otherwise, it gets really difficult
Yeah, like don't
to,
think too hard.
you know.
Don't think
Yeah.
too much about it because then,
Yeah,
you know.
I'm extremely happy that I'm a very instinctive person, because I would be very boring if I only hear to my head, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is never going to work. Oh my God. So my instinct always push me to go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So when you think about your life pre 2014 to 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and you think of like before you really got into your fiber art practice,
Mm-hmm.
and then you think about where you are now, do you feel different somehow?
Well, I think there was a major jump. I feel like when I started, I was more of okay, let's go back a bit to the past, and this memory of my teenage years when I was learning, and I really, my smallest kid was very tiny, so I had to breastfeed a lot, and so she was just laying there next to me, and I was weaving and then picking her up, so it was something that I needed also. It is like a meditative process after a
Hmm.
while. And now I feel more like I'm a boss, like I have my own business, and I have to, promote myself and be out there and prepare workshops, and make sure that
Hmm.
this is there and that is there. I'm still the same person, of course, because the kids are still around me
Hmm.
all the time, but and it was much easier when they were babies because I could control them better. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking. They're
No,
they're
it's
really good,
true.
cool,
It's
cool
true.
girls. They're really cool girls, but I'm very fortunate. But it's something that comes from the inside, and it's something that I had to work. I have to be honest. Okay, now I go for this, and
Hmm.
I feel like I'm entitled, because I also see that people are interested in my pieces. I want to teach less and do more pieces, because that's what it's fun for me. The commission pieces that this client thing about, I want this piece or I want that piece, and or let's create something new. I found this challenge very, very interesting, and now I feel I feel like I'm much more. It's just how I see myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
the perspective of myself in the how I position myself in my skill.
Yeah.
That it was always there. I always wanted to do it, but now I think I can say that's who I am.
I'm
And
a
before I
boss.
was, yeah,
I love
I
that.
don't know. I'm sorry. I was
No,
just
I
joking.
think it's
It's a bit
great.
like it's like this is my business. Of course, it does not make a super amount of money, but it makes me happy. And this is who I am. And this is what I want to be. I don't know if it's forever, but now I'm having a blast with it. So, and
Yeah.
before I was like, yeah, so what do you do? and now I
Yeah.
say no,
Yeah.
and I think it comes also with the age,
Hmm.
that with the older you get, you get more in
Just
control of
confidence.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you say whatever, you don't like me,
Right.
it's all good. And when you're younger, you're always like a sponge. You want to learn everything, and you want everybody to like you. And now I just understand that it's okay.
Hmm.
This is the way it is, and there's no other way to do it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's a funny thing. As we say here, I don't know if you guys say it, but I don't give a F anymore.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. We also say
Yeah, as we get older,
that.
it's just like,
Yeah,
I have no more F's to give. So it's like you just do
and
you,
also,
you know?
let's be honest, our brain damage is way higher because we are tired. I always joke with this. People are talking to me, and I go like, also we speak many languages at home. Sometimes it's really difficult to process, and it's like I don't even bother to go there.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
before it was like, oh, I had to go to the street dressed like this and and do this and be there. And I think no,
Right.
I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I do my thing. This is who I am, and
Absolutely.
there is no other way of doing it. And actually, my brain does not process.
Yeah.
I have this time for myself and for my job. Everything else, is everybody fed?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
happy? So who cares about what other people think? And of
Yeah.
course, I say it like this, but there's always moments. There's always these moments where you are there's always like this. It's not a line. It's not like you go up and you go like, oh, I was here, now I'm up. No, you're always up and down. And the important thing is that you always go a little bit to your direction that you want to go. But you were always, with me, it's always like roller coaster. There are days that it's amazing. There are days that I don't want to do anything. There are days that I think, oh my God. But always don't make these thoughts stop you. You know, they come, they go, then you find yourself again, and then you go. Yeah. But there are moments with no sleep at all that you are working overnight to finish something, but that's it.
Yeah.
Prefer that to be in the office or traveling around to not see my kids grow up, because it's such a small time that they need me, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's difficult in the beginning. As a woman, I found that, especially if you have a busy job, to settle down and to have kids and to say, okay, now I'm here just for my children. This is really, you know, also we are brought up to be independent and and then suddenly, you know. But I think I want to believe that the mindset is changing, and being a mom should be, you know, something really cool, that you want to stay at home with your kids and that you also do your job outside. And I think this should be the next step, because many of us still don't accept ourselves as a stay-at-home mom, or that, you know.
Right. But this, you know, the awesome thing about, you know, having a fiber art practice or this kind of a business or a home business or whatever, is that you can be around and still work. You're just, and you may be working more hours even, but you're doing them on your own, you know, you get to decide what hours. So
yeah, or you work whenever you're allowed
to.
Exactly. It's more, let's be honest, it's more like that.
The kids choose your hours.
Yes, it's a bit
and
like
you
that.
work around them.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Of course, if they go to the kindergarten, there's always like this time of the day that you can, you know, do whatever you want. But it is like that. It's like, for me, it's my priority is my family. And after that, I think everything else falls. But it's funny because it's all growing together, because my kids are already many times next to me in the studio, in the workshop, and they try to weave, or they try to. Yesterday we were doing, how do you say in English, felting, you know?
Oh yeah, needle felting.
Yeah, not really that, but with like a little carpet with soap, and you know. And they are already like into it, and it's funny to see that actually your work is actually influencing your children and how they touch the materials and everything. Absolutely. But like I said, I just hope that it's not too much that they say, now I'm going to be a banker or something like that. Well, as long as they are happy, that's all that matters.
Isn't it funny? That's probably what's going to happen. You're going to be in finance? No.
Yeah. What? You're going to be in economics? You want to run a company? Right. Okay, no idea. Whatever.
It's funny.
Or not. There's many people also who their children just become exactly what they. Yeah. Well, you have two, I have two. You never know. Maybe one and the other one not.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Let's see. Know. We'll see. Okay, so tell me a little bit about marketing. How do you market yourself, and how do you promote your work? And you've had a couple. You've been published in a couple magazines, I think.
Yes, I was. Actually, we were together in one magazine, but it was the Portuguese version, so probably you never saw it. It's called the Com.
Really?
You know? Yeah, but they have a Portuguese version, and the publisher here in Portugal decided to put some Portuguese artists. So we are in the same magazine, in the weaving artists. Yeah, it's very funny. But this was like last year or something. I guess that's it. I think there are magazines that they have branches. No, how do you say it? Sorry, my German is coming out. They have different offices in different countries.
Right.
Then the country then decides to, you know, put also something local for the magazine, for the Portuguese in this case. Yes, I was featured in some magazines. The last one was Coil.
Oh, Coil, yeah.
Coil, yeah.
Coil,
and also,
yeah.
I never know how to say that, Coil. And the Lane magazine, you know, it's a knitting magazine, also did a little feature on me.
Cool.
Because I was doing a workshop with them, and also some Portuguese magazines.
Right.
But
so do you usually have to? Do you reach out to them first, or do they come to you? Have you had to do your own sort of public relations work?
Well,
or?
At the Call magazine, it was like they were looking for people to promote to be in the magazine, And I wrote them that I was interested, but I didn't know that they wanted a whole article about me. I just thought they wanted to publish like a piece or something.
Right.
And then they said, no, we want to make a spread, like I don't know what you call in English, feature about you. And well, I have to be honest, I don't do that much. I decided some years ago I post a lot. In Instagram. I'm not personal. I'm like 1% personal. Sometimes you could see if I made a sweater for my kids, but there is no head, you know, you don't see them. I want people to like me for my work, and I'm not very good in sharing my. So that's why I say this is the first that I talk so much about me. So, and I like.
Look how good you are at it.
It's just because I like to talk. I completely forgot that you are recording me. I'm just having a chat with you. You could be in the coffee, you know, in the cafe. Not your problem. But I'm not very good in sharing my private life. I also don't try to make much, you know, sometimes I'm sitting and I say, I make a picture now, and I go outside and I make a picture and I post it. I'm not very much into this, how do you say, programming the picture.
Oh, like planning, pre-planning everything. And
many people do that, and I think it's amazing. But in my head, as I said, I don't have the time for that. Sometimes I think, I have a basket that it's pretty, I put it there, or you know, but it's not really something that I do. But I have been fortunate to be featured, also be shared in many pages that brought also. I really don't know. I don't know how it happened. I never put ads in Instagram, nothing like that. So I think it's just an organic thing that I also don't interact that much. I'm much more of writing a private message if I want to say something to somebody, because I'm you know, I don't want. No, if I would say I saw that too. It's very nice, you know. Sometimes I write, but more often I put this in a private way. So I don't know. I think also the teaching helped me a lot to teach, definitely. To be out there, you know.
And how often are you teaching?
Well, I used to teach more. Now I teach like around 2 times a month.
Maybe. Oh, that's actually still a lot.
Yeah,
it takes a lot, you know.
But I used to teach every weekend.
Oh, wow.
When I started. Yes, I had a lot of people interested in it. I also travel a little bit, but it really takes a toll on you after a while.
It does.
When I started, it was I discovered that I really love to teach. I'm one of those people that I'm on top of everybody all the time, and I have to make sure that they leave knowing everything or as much as they could, and they're happy. And of course, and you also teach when you come home, it's like you have to lay in bed because you're so exhausted.
Yes.
And in the beginning it was really, really difficult. Now I got better at it, but in the beginning I was like, okay, next day. My husband was always joking, saying, now you work one day and you have to be in bed the next day, because it was really intense.
Yeah. Well, and it's exhausting. If you're not a naturally extroverted person, if you tend to be a little bit more introverted, then it is very exhausting to go out for 3 or 4 hours.
I am a bit shy, but once I start, and if I feel comfortable, I talk a lot. I actually talk a lot, I don't know if you realize. But so what I love about teaching is that it's 99% women, and if the groups are smaller, well, also with the big groups this can happen, but if the groups are smaller, it's really a dynamic that is created there, and after a while everybody's doing their thing, but they're also talking about their life and about the kids and about their jobs and it's more like a reunion of people that are just crafting something, and I feel very grateful for that experience.
Definitely.
And of course there is one or other occasions when one or other person was a bit too intense, but most of the times 99% of the times my students are just really amazing, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about your manual. You have a guide, tapestry weaving.
Yeah.
I guess it's just called tapestry. Is that right?
Yeah, we can call it. Yeah, it's a manual. I mean, tapestry in Portugal can be different things. It's very difficult to find the right name for the right thing, because you have like also the knotting. We have some I don't know how to say it, carpets to put on the floor that I made also in tapestry, but it's with a needle. So it has to be like that. But yes, you can call it tapestry, tapestry manual. Yes.
So tell me about the manual. Did you illustrate it from all of it, or
yes,
how did that happen?
It's a mix. Some of the images are based on old books. Other images are done by me because when I started teaching, I made manuals for my students. Like how do you call it? Like a very small, like in paper, very simple, without explanations. But I made quite a lot, and my idea was that the students come to my workshop, but the images are good enough for them to go home and to go on doing it without my help. So like 1.5 years ago, I contacted a couple of publishers to make a book because there's nothing in Portuguese in this matter. And people were all about how many followers I had and la 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 and all this, I don't know, very strange. And I thought, okay, I wait a bit, I contact some more, nothing happened. And I thought, okay, I will do it myself.
Yeah.
And I was very happy because I was working with some people that they have like wood workshop, and they also do riso printing, and I made the books with them. And so they're kind of manual also. It was very crazy because I did it very quickly. The translation and everything was very difficult. But most of the job was already done because I had beginners class and middle class and intermediate class, and I also have round loom class. So I basically put all my manuals together and add a lot of more information. I didn't add any patterns because not patterns. How do you say when you copy, when you do the same? How do you call it? Projects?
Okay, yeah, or patterns.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Pattern, yeah. Because I also have a pattern section when you learn how to do, lines and stuff. That's why I was confused. But that you copy, that you say, now this is like, let's do a plant holder or, so nothing, it's just juicy information with techniques. So I was working a lot. I made many more drawings, and I decided to do it by myself. Because I thought if nobody is interested, I might as well just self-publish myself.
Right.
And it's not like a lot of sales, but many more and mostly for the US and for Canada.
So it's in English. It's in English and in Portuguese.
I have in English and in Portuguese,
okay,
but I sell much more to people that obviously follow me and are interested. And because I'm very into these old school books, for me, I'm much more drawn to drawings and old school drawings than pictures. So I decided to draw everything. I'm sure it's full of mistakes because my English is not my mother tongue. But I try to do my best.
Oh, I'm sure it's great.
Many people say, you don't even have to read it because
just the pictures are enough,
and you can understand it. Yes, but it's another way of connecting with people, and it's very nice to see the pictures popping out and people saying how they feel about it. It's very funny.
Definitely. So where do you sell that from your website?
Just from my website. I have, and maybe soon I will start selling in some shops because there are people interested. And I thought, I'm not sure about it yet, but as I told you, I go very slow, and I see how things are leading, and could be that in the future I will have it in some shops also.
Would you consider doing like a digital download version for people?
Not yet, just for the solemn reason that it's such a beautiful, it's done in recycled paper, and it's in this printing way, and it's like very beautiful object also to have. I mean, I think.
No, I bet it is. I bet it is. I'm gonna order one.
I also heard other people also said that. So it will lose a bit the thing to. But who knows? I never say no to anything. Who knows where all this leads? Because I find the shipping costs are not that high. So I think that's why I've been selling a lot, as you say, overseas.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes. But it was also a very interesting project to create a little book.
Yeah, definitely. How long did that take you from? Well, to think about it from start to finish.
If I want to be honest with you, I could say that it took me 2 years because I did all the manuals for the classes. but I was working like a maniac for a month on writing it and drawing it, but really like from morning till night, like.
Yeah.
And till the end was like, because people could pre-order it and it got a bit late, and it was really crazy, but I'm very happy with the result. I just did what I would like to also learn, because when I start weaving, there was not much to go around with, only old books. So I would like just somebody to give me, okay, here are the basic techniques. Now you can start it. They're all explained for you, and that was my aim, to make a very simple manual of. And I'm not, also with my classes, I'm not a person who tells you have to do it like that. I let my students always, which is also very challenging because you never know what they can come up with. But I always try to give the people the option to go and do what they want to do by themselves, instead of just giving them already an idea, a pre-done idea, how do you say, a pattern.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided not to put any patterns on the book. And if they want, I always say, you can contact me whenever you want. I can help you if you have any doubts or anything. Yeah.
So when you look at your business now and what you've created so far, what do you find to be sort of like your greatest challenges or fears? Because, there's a lot to juggle with being a creative who also has their own business. So I guess I just wonder, what do you find to be the most challenging?
Well, the most challenge by far is at the personal level, how to balance everything properly, because behind the piece that you see, there's a juggling thing every day. And I would like to be much more, how do I say, serious about when I start, when I finish. If there is an order coming, I don't care. I just work every day till that hour, and I have to schedule my day around this. With me, it's not. Whatever comes, and I have to work my schedule around it. And this is by far the biggest struggle, because either I'm doing too little for my family or I'm doing too little for my work. It's always this. But I think all the people that ever work from home and have a family know how that is. And sometimes I feel like I don't know where it's up and down, and I'm just, going like a horse, just finish. I think the last piece, even my mom came in to help me trimming the ends of the thing, because she was around, and she said, I help you. You look so desperate, and people don't know that side of life. They just see the pieces.
They see the perfection, like on Instagram, and they're like,
I struggle with putting more pictures about the process of working and writing about it. But since I don't talk so much about my private life, but I would like to share this more, because as I say, people think that I have so many work, and they say, oh my God, you don't sleep and you make so much stuff. And I say, but yes, I don't sleep, but it is not like that. It is a struggle. And that's, I think, the huge, because as a person, for your own health, your brain health, it's very difficult, because you think, okay, so should I say no to this order? But I need it, and and when you're just you, or you don't have schedule, you can work all day. But once you have a family, it's like you have an idea, and the idea is being sliced into pieces, and sometimes just goes. Also, your mojo, you want to do something, and then your kid gets sick, then the other kid gets sick, and then you work at night, and you wake up, you are so tired, and you're in a bad mood all day, then you forget to eat because you're working, and then suddenly your inspiration is gone because you're just so tired, And that's, I think, the biggest struggle of all, is that how to shut the office door, to say, okay, I'm in. You open there is no entering, because you're there all the time, and closing it and saying it's over. On a personal level, I think that's very, very, very complicated.
It's hard. I agree.
Yeah. And also not to be a bit more away from the social media, because it's true that you need it, but there must be other ways of promoting yourself. I would like to be a bit more away from that, but I have this thing that I have to post, because it is my, how do you say, it is my window shop.
Right. Right.
So I have to put new products on my window shop for people to see. But I would like to have other ways of doing that.
Yeah.
What else did you ask me? I forgot.
Well, that was it basically. Oh, what do you fear?
Well, I fear that this is a how do you call it? It's a fashion that
Oh,
goes
right, that it's a
away.
fad. Yeah. No, I know. I feel the
Yeah,
same way.
I'm very afraid that people will overdo it and it will be gone,
Mm-hmm.
and people will not want to have textile on their walls anymore, or they will not have the interest to learn anymore. So that's I do know that the wave is going to change,
Mm-hmm.
and many people will go away to other things, and many people will stay. I think I fear that, and I also how do you work? It's also very important for me. Which kind of materials you work, what do you stand for, how do you do your job? It's also very important for me, and sometimes that stops you from. For instance, I was invited by a label to make an interview, and I didn't want it because I didn't want to stand for what they were selling, the way that they were selling. And sometimes you think, man, but I should do everything,
Yeah.
So all this, where do you go for your job?
Right.
I guess I'm just. It looks like a long time, but I'm just still a little business,
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, no, I
always
have
this.
to say kudos, like good for you for standing for your principles on that.
But it's difficult because you always think, okay, the next wave is going to just flush me down the drain, So I might as well just grab to everything that you can. And sometimes it's very tasty, and you think, maybe success
Yeah.
can come after that, whatever that means, And that always this. You don't have a boss to tell you, we do this and we don't do that. You're unjudged all the time, and whatever decision you make is going to influence your private life. It's going to influence you. So you are the own responsible for the downfall or the rising of your company.
Right.
And that's what I fear the most. All this daily. This person invites me to do this. This one wants me to do that. Should I do it? Is this good for me? This is not. I'm sure you have the same.
Yeah,
sure
no, I know. And we have to be our own business managers or our own agents.
In everything.
So,
It's like this morning you are the how do you say, the person who takes care of the account, and then 5 minutes later you have to be the packaging person, and then you have to be the social media person, then you have to have a meeting, and then you have to be inspired. In a company, this is all divided.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to their place that they are better at. We have to be better at everything, and I'm very bad at account.
Oh my God, me too.
But
so
I think
bad.
we are all. But I learned in school, in my high school, that if you cannot sell yourself, you're not because it's a business. But it's so difficult to sell what you do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Put a price on it, because I think my pieces should cost €1 million, because I work so many hours on it, but of course this is not possible. So it's so difficult. So, or sometimes I think I should give them for free, because I just want people to have it. So it's always I think we are just a little bit crazy.
Right. No, you've got it. Yeah. You have to find that place though, because there's a reality of it that you need to make a living off of it. And then there's also the reality that it takes a really long time to create each piece, and they should be highly valued. But I think that I really do believe that we find our perfect customers, like the people who understand the value of all of the work and the beauty, and that it's your own vision, that only you can create this piece for them. So when you put a true value on it, or you have to put a price tag on it, but I think that when you do find your perfect customers, and they understand all of that,
Yeah, I guess that I could have much more customers. It's just that many of our perfect customers don't have the ability to buy our pieces. And that's why sometimes I just want to give them, because you know what I mean? Because you have to have some. I think I would not be able to buy my own pieces. If sometimes I think, oh my God, but I have to put the fair price. And every time I explain to people why a piece costs what it costs, they understand. They get it, But I think many people would like to have. So that's why I'm also very thankful and grateful for the people who comment and tell me that my work is good. And also some of them cannot even come to my workshops because they think it's expensive. And that was also a reason for me to make the book, also for people to reach the people that actually would like to have my pieces and would like to learn with me, but they simply cannot. So, and that's difficult also. Of course, many people they are special clients, of course, no doubt about it, but there's the hard clients, the ones that actually love you, but cannot. In the beginning, there were people who I thought, okay, I'm going to give you a piece. I don't care. You like my work so much, and you are so much into what I do, and you respect it so much. Just take it, But you cannot be like that because it's
not all the time, anyway.
That's it. But how is it for you? Is it also? Do you feel that what I'm saying resonates with your life? Is it also for you that way?
Definitely.
With the kids and struggles?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, not having enough time to do everything that I want to do is my biggest challenge.
Do you also think what kind of artist would you be if it was just you? You with all the time, or with like a nanny, or
Well, no, we have these weekends where my in-laws live somewhat close by, so occasionally they'll take the boys for like 2 nights in a row, and over those weekends I get so much. I go right into it. Like I don't even eat. Like I just. Like for 10 hours, I'll just do like a nodding bender, and those are the best feelings. And I feel so accomplished at the end of them all. And my husband always jokes, he'd be like, see what would happen if we didn't have kids? Like, all right, well, stop trying to have kids with me then.
No, but that's it. When my husband also works, he also has deadlines and stuff like that. And it's so funny because if the kids are not around, we just became, also during the day, we're just like, rah, 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 in our jobs. And then we go to the restaurant very quickly, because nobody wants to cook. Yeah. And then we come back home. And then it's always like we say, man, we are so obsessive. I hope that our kids don't get, that we are a bit more, restrained and show them, we have to have meals and stuff. But when they are not at home, we are just both like, we are not happy till we devoured and finished whatever. But I think that's what it is to at least be, when you get inspired, it's just that moment. It's so difficult to just, because then somebody asks you for a banana or they need to go to somebody's birthday,
and the momentum just stops. It's like,
and it goes, it does go. And sometimes, and I'm when I start something, it's like, I have this, it's like when you open a box of cookies and you have to eat them all. It's the same when I'm working, and it's very difficult, but it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. It's nice to know because you're interviewing me, but I'm actually very curious to know if it's also with you like that. That's why I had to ask.
Yeah. Well, one of these days where I'll put out an episode where somebody else interviews me, so you guys can find out all about my journey.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, what would be your best dream commission if you were to have anybody or any place where you could have your work shown or bought by someone? Who or what would that be?
I would not mind to have an exhibition, to be honest. I would not mind to have total freedom, to create. But I think these questions are always very difficult for me to answer because I don't have because I think every commission that I have, mostly the ones that come from a private client, are always my dream commissions, because I'm very fortunate to have people who actually, because I also kind of, when people start telling me I would like to have it like that person or like person, I always say no, I don't do that. Yeah. Because it happens a lot that people get inspired with pictures and so I kind of how do you say, I pick my clients also the way I can, I try. I already can see with all the years that I've been dealing with people, when somebody wants a copy or something, or if somebody wants something because of me. And I intend to take the ones that want, of course, things more about me. But every commission is for me a dream commission, because I managed to, I'm a very in a moment person, of course I think about the past and the future, and I have all these things, but when I'm working, I think, okay, now this piece is the piece I'm going to do for the rest of my life, forever, that's the feeling that I go into it. At the middle of it, I'm always like, oh, it's too big, I'm tired, I wish it was over. Okay, now I would like to hire somebody to make the endings, the trimming and all that.
Tuck in all the ends.
All things. Why did I put myself into this, But when I start, I'm always very excited about, because I don't repeat things,
Yeah.
and I think that's that's the thing that works for me, because it's always new, and sometimes I do it by myself, and sometimes I have the input of other people. For instance, this piece that the last one I did, the black one, it was just me, and I was very happy about it. But the one before was an input, so it always changes. So, but I would not mind to have an exhibition. But it's going to sound very strange what I'm saying, but I also would not dream about being too big, because I actually like to have the connection with the people that are following me,
Yeah.
and at one point you lose track of what's happening, because you cannot answer, you don't know, you lost it. And for me, I like to keep it. I would not like to have assistants, and I like to keep it. I would like to be good paid and respectfully paid for the work that I do, like everybody else, which is already a huge thing to achieve, because you know how it is. Most of it's too expensive. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can go to that shop and buy it for half of the price. There are actually other people who do it much cheaper. But I think you just have to stay, not try that the fear eats you up too much, and to say, okay, it's my journey, and hopefully it will work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's sort of the end of the main part of the interview, but I have a couple of random, just like speed round questions. Okay. So what is your favorite beverage?
Drink.
Yes, your favorite drink.
Sorry, beverage. Okay. I don't know. Well, since I have my kids, I stopped drinking, which is really stupid, but it's like
it's very smart. It's very smart, actually.
No, I explain you why. I cannot afford hangovers. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And second of all, I drink half of a glass, and I'm already like, I love water. Really love water. Yeah,
it's the best thing you could possibly give yourself. So that's good.
I love water. I'm a very bad drinker. I always forget, like obsession, working. Where's the water? I forgot. Where's the food? I forgot. I have to say that the thing that I'm into, we made some elderflower syrup.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's really delicious.
It's really delicious. I had it a lot in Germany, but here in Portugal, people don't know about this, so we just went around and just stole from the landscape a bunch of them. We did it with the kids, and it's something quite delicious.
Oh, that's so great. And you made it from scratch. That's so cool.
It's very easy. It's just the flowers and some lemon, and you let it stay for a couple of days.
Oh, any sugar?
Add the sugar, the sugar, and then it's done.
Wow.
You sieve it. It's right with a cloth.
Oh yeah. You strain it out.
Strain it, exactly. Because also English from England is different than English from America, so there's
all
a bunch of words that I say. It's very, and if kids can do it with you, so, and it's all everywhere at this. I know. No, you have the same as we do. I always have a mistake with Australia. So probably it's blossoming also there, if you have it.
I haven't seen any, but also I'm in a very just wooded area. I don't know. It's just like woods, so there aren't that many wildflowers.
There are no bushes.
Yeah,
it's a bush.
Oh, it's a bush.
But anyway,
okay.
Yeah, it's a bush, and it just.
I'm gonna Google it. I want to make it. That sounds so fun.
Really good. Just don't catch it before if it had rain, because all the powder that it stays, it's what gives the flavor. So if it had rain, just wait a couple of days, and then that they produce more. Sorry.
Cool. No, that's cool. I love that.
So what is your special beverage? And I'm already giving you a recipe. Syrup.
Elderflower syrup. No, that's awesome. Okay, if you were a color, what color would you be?
I will be a rainbow.
Oh. Too hard to pick, right?
No, I'm really big in colors, but I really like red, and I'm more into more fiery colors or purples or stuff like that. But I like colors very much. I always joke. I answer to magazines, like when I go to work, it's always like summer. My color mood is always summer, and just when I do macrame and I see in the pieces behind you, it's. I really do more neutral, but you never know.
Yeah. No, there's so many possibilities. It's like really hard to choose.
Possibilities.
What is something creative that you've never tried that you've been wanting to?
Well, I just tried yesterday I start doing the linograph, the stamping, make stamping.
Oh.
I just started. It's quite addictive. My husband had offered me a set for Christmas, and it was just laying there. Yeah, I really like that. I would like to try more ceramics.
Mm-hmm.
I did a bit, but I would like to do more. Let me think. I don't know. There's so many stuff I would like to try. So many. How is it called? This coil, that you sew, that you make little baskets.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like,
I don't know.
it's like
How is it
basket
called?
weaving. I don't.
Not
Kind
basket
of.
weaving, but
Yeah.
with fibers.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And they make like a spiral, I don't know what it's
I think
called
it's
either.
coil, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
might be
sure
right.
about it. Many things. I mean, I like to do everything that it's possible. We are moving soon, and I'm already thinking that I have all these strange punch needles that I bought all over the time, and I really think that maybe I should make a carpet for my living room. Not a carpet, I say a carpet.
Mm-hmm.
A rug.
A rug.
A rug.
Yeah.
But that rug. Carpet's not.
I know. I bought a punch needle. I bought an Amy Oxford punch needle, and I haven't even tried it yet. I really want to. I just haven't had time.
I have one that is like old school that I bought a long time ago, and one with I didn't know what that was, but I thought I have to have that.
Yeah.
And now I see it all over. It's funny. It's like, and I have so many, and there's so many things that I like to try.
Yeah.
As long as I can try. I'm one of these persons that if I'm sitting, I cannot just watch TV. I have to,
you have to be doing something.
Doing something with my hands, otherwise I go crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you had a time machine, what point in the past or future would you like to visit?
That's easy. I would like to go to the 60s and the 70s.
Yes,
the
me
boom
too.
fiber art. I think everything looks so cozy.
Yeah.
The books look cozy. The people.
The colors. Everything was earthy and warm.
And more natural and more naive. Also, in a way, I would love to go there. I actually would like to see the movement in Portugal, because as I learned, there was just like all these rich women that didn't have anything to do, and they create like a kind of how do you say, a club where but that nobody almost knows, just the people that are in the area know their names.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like these people that had a lot of money and had nothing to do, and then in the middle there are like 2 or 3 that were actually struggling for it.
Yeah.
And I would also like to know how that went in that time. Just curious, because I think nowadays there is no space to be artistic. You have to be crafty, and before it was just like, if you do something like that, you would be considered an artist.
Right.
And now, it's these lines that I still would like to understand what makes you an artist. Why are some people,
versus a crafter? I know it's weird because I find the line. I don't know. I know I struggle with the same thing. And even titling this podcast,
how do you consider yourself?
I would consider myself an artist.
But it's difficult to say, right?
It's hard to say. Like I almost don't. I don't feel that legitimate, because
exactly. That's what I mean. But why? Because it took me like I think a year to be able to say I'm an artist, and I was like, no, I'm an artist, and I'm like this, and
you still just struggle on it.
yes, because it's like, I think, what does that mean? What does it mean to be an artist? Because I'm in a gallery, or because I'm here, I'm there, or
Right.
But anyway,
or does it mean that your work has to be conceptual somehow, or does it mean
what does it mean to be conceptual? I
know, like versus decorative,
Exactly.
Because right now I create decorative work, right? It's not, I don't necessarily have pieces that are meant to go in the middle of a room that you're just supposed to ponder about, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But I find it all that if you're creating anything, I just find that to be, to mean that you're an artist, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's difficult, and that's what I mean. And I think it's a lot to do with where you move, if you know the right people, or if you are in the, and that's the difference. I don't know, but I think it's a struggle for people, and I think in the 70s and in the 80s, I think everybody was kind of an artist because there was not so much access. Because if I look back and I see the artists of that time, I have a lot of respect for them. But there are many people nowadays doing much better things, and they are not even artists. They're artisans or something like that.
Right.
So I would like to be there because in that time, because I would like to see how they're also more fearless than we are. I think we are all too much worried about what the other one is doing and where does it go, where does the trend go.
We actually have too much information.
Yeah, too much information, and we feel pushed to do what's fashionable. It's like when you see a plant, suddenly the plant is everywhere.
Yeah.
And suddenly without realizing, you're gravitating towards that plant when you're going to a shop and you don't even know why.
Yeah.
Because you saw it so many times, you know. And I would like to move to that time because I think things were much more honest in a different way.
Yeah.
Not that I don't think that now it's great, because I also think it's great, but I would be curious to see how they take themselves probably very serious.
Me too, yeah.
And, you know.
No,
because
so
I mean,
cool.
Everybody's into Shayla Hicks nowadays, and she's great, but there's so many more than that.
So many more. You know? She's just standed the test of time. Like, I feel like she's
more
withstood
commercial,
the past, you know, however many decades.
Yeah, but there's so many. You know, you go to the books and you think, my God, where did this come from? This is unbelievable, you know? And I never heard that name in my life, because probably I just did that, you know? So you never know. Yeah. But I would like to go there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So this is the last question. What is your current favorite Instagram account? It can be fiber related or not. Just an Instagram account that you find to be very inspiring.
Well, you caught me in a very strange time, because I'm actually a bit bored with Instagram. I'm sorry.
No, don't.
I cannot remember any name. I'm really bad at this. Tell me one thing. I always go like, oh my God, I don't remember.
Okay, well then I'll ask a different question. Do you have a current favorite like book, podcast, or TV show that you like to listen to or watch while you're making?
Well, I have a thing. I have a guilty pleasure. I love like to watch TV. You know, like all this trash TV, but I actually don't watch it.
You just like listen to it, yeah.
Yeah, and I love really cheap movies because they don't make me think that much.
Me too.
But it's horrible, and I should say, oh, I love to listen to this and that. No. I like not all the trash TV, but some of them, and I like really. We used to have Netflix. I stopped it because it was getting too much for me. So I tried to gravitate towards other things, like mundane things, you know, like people talking about other people's life, or silly movies about not romantic, but like cheap mysteries, like Agatha Christie, you know, because I actually don't look at it. I'm just working and I listen to it, and I want to be entertained. Sometimes podcasts, they make me really go a bit sometimes somewhere else, and I want to be still in here where I am, you know? But I would love to start listening more to more interesting things.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. We all, I feel like we all need to give our brains and our soul a break. Yes. You know, where we don't always have to be introspective and philosophical and exactly. So we all need trash TV.
Yeah, and I just try to balance, to change it a little bit, because after a while, of course, if you watch I think the last one that I was looking was the Law and Order from the 90s. You know,
and there's so many of them. That goes on forever.
And I thought, okay, I can watch them over and over again, because I'm going to forget. But at one point, I have to. That what happens is that I get really bored with it, because I get the plot always.
Right.
And I go after you watch like 5 episodes, I go like, I know that one did it. Yeah. So I have to find something else to watch, you know, because you're supposed to watch one a week. Yeah. You know, I've already forgotten about what happened, and so I have to kind of move forward and say, I know I watched something else. But no, I don't listen to podcasts, or sometimes I listen to books. I try to get audiobooks. But not even that, not much. I did that because we traveled to Germany with a car, and I listened to a lot to make the trip faster.
Yeah.
But, no, I like really simple-minded things, because the rest of the day I'm an intense person, and I deal with creativity and feelings. So I like me some.
I feel you on that for sure.
Things. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been so great getting to know you, and
that we are being recorded.
I know. It's like almost.
I didn't talk too much.
It's almost 2 hours. So sorry, guys. I hope you're still listening. I had such a great time learning more about Vânia, and really excited to see what you do next. Just because everything that you post really is a surprise, and it's so exhilarating to see. So. Thank you for putting yourself out there. I hope to see you more.
And thank you for asking me. It's quite nice because, as I told you, I don't do this at all.
Yeah.
So it was my first time. I will never forget it. And hopefully I also will learn a lot about other people because I will also want to know about you and about. It's nice that this fiber art podcast is out because it's nice to put everything in perspective and understand that in the end we're all doing the same and struggling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Vânia, and I will see you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Check the show notes of each episode to get the website and Instagram for each of the fiber artists I speak with. Be sure to give them a follow. And you can view video from this podcast on niromastudio.com/The Fiber Artist Podcast. If you enjoy the Fiber Artist Podcast, go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening.